Tejobindoopanishad. Tejobindoopanishad. This Tejobindoopanishad is part of the Krishna Yajurveda, having 6 chapters, Shad Adhyayas. And all these 6 chapters describe, explain mostly the higher dimensions of the practices. The entire Upanishad describes the practices which are mostly internal, concerned with the antaranga, though it gives some tips regarding asana and pranayama. For the practice of the meditation, dharana, dhyana, and to have an extraordinary, strong will and to maintain a very strong sense control, unwavering, stabilized, without distractions. What are all the qualities needed? This Upanishad explains it. Tejobindoopanishad keeps on hammering about the Aham Brahmasmi of the famous Mahavakyas. The Upanishad also deals and explains the Ekatmata, how Jivatma is actually an expression and manifestation of the Paramatma. How Vyasti is inseparable from the Parameshti. What is the link? What are the expressions? What are the symbolic measurements? Tejobindoopanishad handles all these subjects. Avicchinnata, Akhandata, Ekatmata, Brahmatattvam. These topics are brilliantly explained in the Tejobindoopanishad. The first chapter has 51 mantras. The second one has 43 mantras. The third one, 74 mantras. The fourth chapter contains 81 mantras. The fifth chapter contains 105 mantras. And the last one, the sixth chapter, contains 111 mantras. Tejobindoopanishad presents to the sadhaka Pancha Dashanga Yoga, the 15 limbs yoga, like Ashtanga Yoga. Tejobindoopanishad presents, explains the methods and techniques of the 15 methods, 15 limbs, Pancha Dashanga Yoga. The first chapter, the third and the fifth mantra, the 3, 4 and the 5, these mantras are full of experiencing, practicing of the Nirvishesha Brahma. Nirvishesha Brahma sadhana it is. And the Upanishad says these techniques are very secret. Param guhyatamam viddihi nirashrayaha and soma rupa kala sukshma vishnos tat paramam padam. By practicing these secret techniques, these deeper and subtle techniques, one attains paramam padam. The techniques are secret doesn't mean it is to be kept secret or it is to be practiced secretly. No, it only suggests that these techniques are very deeper and very important. Then the Upanishad talks about the Pancha Dashangas, the 15th and the 16th mantras, the two mantras, gives the list of the 15 limbs of the Tejobindoopanishads, Pancha Dashanga Yoga. Yamohi Niyamas Tyago Maunam Deshascha Kalataha Asane Moolamandhascha Dehasamyam cha Dritstitihi Prana Samyamanam chaiva Pratyaharascha Dharana Atmadhyanam Samadhischa Proktanyangani Vai Kramat. This is the Kramat in serial, in order. The list begins with the Yamaha and ends with the Samadhischaha. Whenever more than one is told, or whenever more than one is listed, or whenever more than one is written or said, there will be something in the first, there will be something in the second or third. It doesn't mean second and third depend on the first, and first is the most important. Because 15 are there will be an order. That's what the Kramani it says. And the following mantras, these Panchadashangani have been explained. Yama, Niyama, Tyaga, Mauna, Desha. Desha means right place. Kala, proper duration. Asana, the right posture. Moolamandhaha, Deha Samyaha. Deha Samya is equilibrium of the body. Drik Sthiti, stability of perception and introspection. Prana Samyama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Atmadhyana, and Samadhi. Beautifully, the next 15 to 16 mantras keeps on explaining what is each one. It will be interesting to know that the Yama Niyamas doesn't have any constituents. It just defines what is Yama. Just for example, the description of the Yama is Sarvam Brahmeti Vai Jnanadi Indriya Grama Samyamaha Yamo Yamiti Samprokto Bhyasaniyo Muhurmuhu. It says Sarvam Brahmeti Vai Jnanad Indriya Grama Samyamaha. Controlling, restraining the Indriyas and considering everything as Brahman. This is Yama. Quite different from other yoga texts where Yama means Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, or Daya, Karuna, Astikyam in some other Upanishads. But here, simply the Yama is stated as the feeling or the ability or the practice that everything is Brahman by controlling restraining the Indriyas. Niyama is Sajatiya pravahascha vijatiyati stiraskritihi niyamohi paranando niyamat kriyate budhaihi. what is needed, what is suitable. Sajatiya pravahascha, that which is suitable and useful are accepted, what is not suitable and useful is rejected. Sajatiya pravahascha vijatiya tiraskritihi, reject that which is not suitable, reject that which is not convenient, reject that which is not comfortable, reject that which is not complementary to the practice, and accept that which is complementary, supportive to the practice. This is niyama. And then what is maunam? Maunam is an absolute practice of mauna, not just shutting of the speech or the sound. It is shutting off the thought to talk. That is maunam. Then tyagaha, renunciation, absolute renunciation. It's very interesting to see what is asana. Asana is balancing. Balancing of what? Tejobindoopanishad presents a highest dimension of the practice of asana by defining asana as aligning sthula sukshma karana shariras. You align the karana sharira, aligning sukshma sharira, aligning the sthula sharira. Sthula sukshma karana sharira have been aligned, bringing a balance, an equilibrium, samattvata, santulana of all these three is the asana. Not just practicing some bending asanas, forward and backward bendings. The highest dimension of asana is presented in this. Similarly, Mula Bandha is not the normal Mula Bandha which we understand. It is the Mula. The basic, the root has been caught. Then the Deha Samyaha, equilibrium. Drishtihi is not just looking. It is the internal perception on the Brahman. Prana Samyamaha, beautifully the Upanishad explains what is Prana Samyamaha, and it defines exclusively that Chittadi Sarvabhaveshu Brahmatvenaiva Bhavanat Nirodha Sarvrittinam Pranayamaha Savuchyate. Chittadi Sarvabhaveshu Brahmatvenaiva Bhavanat, including chitta, mana, buddhi, ahankara, chitta are all Brahma only. Having this bhavana and holding all vrittis, nirodha sarva vrittinam, this is pranayama. So pranayama has two dimensions. One is bhavana of Brahma Tattva of Manobuddhyahankara Chittaha and Nirodha of all vrittis, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. It is not attaining that Brahma Bhavana by Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Chitta Vritti Nirodha and Brahma Bhavana. This is pranayama. How beautifully the highest dimension is being presented here in the Tejobindoopanishad. Similarly, the Upanishad explains various other dimensions of the Pancha Dashanga Yoga. The second chapter is on the Akhanda Eka Karatvam. Akhandaika Rasatvam it is called. Very beautifully, the entire Tejobindoopanishad has this crux. There are 23 brilliant mantras which talk about the Akhanda Eka Rasatvam. The entire world is filled with only one rasa. Rasa here is essence. The essence of the entire creation, the essence of the entire world, the essence of everything that we see and experience is Akhandatvam. There is no Khandana. This Akhanda Eka Rasam is explained brilliantly in the 23 mantras, and all these 23 mantras begin with the word akhandaikarasam drishyam akhandakarasam jagat akhandaikarasam bhavam akhandaikarasam swayam. Keeps on explaining. Akhandaikarasam mantraha, akhandaikarasam kriyaha, akhandaikarasam jnanaha, akhandaikarasam jalam, akhandaikarasam bhumihi, akhandaikarasam vyataha, akhandaikarasam shastram, akhandaikarasam tri, akhandaikarasam brahma, akhandaikarasam vratam, akhandaikarasam jivaha, akhandaikarasam hajaha, akhandaikarasam harihi, brahmaha, rudraha, and atmaha, guruhu, lakshaha, and mahaha, dehaha, manaha, chittaha, sukham, vidya, nityam. Everything in all the 23 mantras about each mantra having 2 lines and explaining akhandaikarasam. So, whole 23 mantras brings out 92 aspects in the creation and in this world, and says that all these 92 symbolics, expressions and manifestations in the world are all that akhandaikarasam. They are essentially the akhandam. So in 23 mantras, 92 aspects have been explained. And then the indivisible oneness of the entire world has been explaining in the 2nd chapter. Then it continues by saying Sarvasyaha Chinmatra Bhavana. Entire world has to be felt as a Chinmatraha. Chinmatraha. It is the highest dimension. That is the utter absolute consciousness. That is the Chinmatraha. Chinmatraha. It is here the matra means aloneness. Chin alone it is. Chit alone it is. That specification, ascertaining is the Chinmatra. Chin alone. That is the entire world is it is in. And there are about 18 mantras describing that beautiful dimension of the. And then the Upanishad talks about the Vidya Phalam, the benefits out of it. The 3rd chapter talks about the importance of Aham Brahmasmi Abhyasam. How to practice Aham Brahmasmi. I am the Brahman. The Jivatma is nothing but the Paramatmaha. I am myself, my consciousness, minus of me, I-ness and amness of me, and I am is nothing separate from the all-pervading, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent Brahman it is. Aham Brahmasmi is the greatest Mahavakya of the Bharatiya Sanatana Dharma and an essence of the 4 Vedas, and one of the powerful Vakyam it is, Mahavakyam it is called, as we are aware, Aham Brahmasmi. And this Aham Brahmasmi is named as the Atma Mantram. This Atma Mantra Abhyasaha is the Aham Brahmasmi Mantra. It is beautifully explained in the 42 mantras. And all these 42 mantras goes on with the word Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, and Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi mantroyam drishyapapam vinashayet. Aham Brahmasmi mantroyam anya mantraha vinashayet. By the practice of the Aham Brahmasmi thought, by the practice of Aham Brahmasmi japa, we should all understand as a yoga practitioners and teachers, the greatest japa is the Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. And the Upanishad goes into raptures in the 43 mantras explaining, especially the 15 mantras, what happens if we keep on chanting just Aham Brahmasmi. It says, Sarvatma mantram sadabhyaset drishya papam vinashati. Anyamantram vinashayet, deha dosham vinashayet, janma papam vinashayet, mritya pasam vinashayet, dvaita dukkham vinashayet, bheda buddhim vinashayet. Everything will be vinashayet. It removes, it cuts under, it eliminates, it cleans up, it deletes all the sins. In the sense, Aham Brahmasmi japa, Aham Brahmasmi chanting makes a sadhaka a pure, enlightened person. And that is the entire third chapter handles. And the fourth chapter talks about the Jivan Mukti. And again there are 23 mantras which talks about Jivan Muktaha. And these mantras from the mantra number 8 to the mantra number 30, these 23 mantras keeps on emphasizing, I am not this, I am not this. As Adi Shankaracharya's Nirvana Shatkam we are aware. This 23 mantras talks about, I am not this, name dehaha, name mayaha, name doshaha, name kshetraha, name jagat, name triyam, I am nothing, I am not, name kalaha, name snanam, name tirtham, bandham, punyaha, jivaha, mokshaha, name guruhu, brahmaha, prithvi, vahnihi, dhyata, shitam. Means, in these 23 mantras, Tejobindoopanishad explains that what we are not and what we are, what I am not and what I am. This wrong identification and eliminating this wrong identification or attachment with things which are not concerned with what I am. That is the Jivan Mukti Sthiti. The Upanishad keeps on explaining in the entire fourth chapter. And then the fifth chapter is another brilliant exposition on the what is Anatmaha. After talking what is Atmaha in the previous chapter, in the fifth chapter, what is not Atman, Anatmatmam. It talks about the Anatma explanation. What a brilliant, beautifully the Upanishad explains. In general, what we feel, what we are, I am this, I am this, I am this, our strong attachment, our strong inbuilt feeling that I am the body, I am the mind, I am my thoughts, I am my emotions. Tejobindoopanishad removes that. It says, we are not always. And that is the entire essence of the fifth chapter. And explains that whole thing is mithyaha. And for this, the cause is the mind. Mana is the cause. How mind is the cause of this strong beliefs. How the mind is the cause of the entire troubles. Dukkha karanam. There are 17 mantras brilliantly explaining the mind as the reason, mind is the cause, mind is the foundation for all the troubles, for all the afflictions and the attachments which we have in this entire Mananeeya karanam, it keeps on talking, and that is how the entire fifth chapter is the discussion of that one. And then the last chapter is the 6th chapter, which again emphasizes Sarvasya Satchit Anandatvam. It says everything is Sat, Chit and Anandatvam. Sarvam Satchinmayam Viddihi, Sarvam Satchinmayam Tatam, Satchidanandam Advaitam, Satchidanandam Avyayam, Satchidanandamatram Hi, Satchidanandamanyakam, Satchidanandarupoham, Satchidanandamevakam, Satchidanandameva Tvam, Satchidanandogham Asyaham. That is how Sarvasya Brahmatvam, Sarvasya Satchidanandatvam. The Upanishad brilliantly keeps on explaining Nashunyam Napi Chashunyam Nantah Karana Samsritihi Na Ratrir Nadiva Naktam Na Brahma Na Harihi Shivam. Means Tejobindoopanishad keeps on hammering the real, the actual essence of the major Upanishads. And that is how what is not and what is, what I am not and what I am, my real and my unreal, the real of the reality of the creation, the unreality of the creation, the reason for the unreal to be felt as the real, the reason for real to be felt as unreal, the cause for inability to recognize the real, and the cause for the not able to recognize the unreal as the real, and the ability and inability to recognize the real as the real. All these points were clearly explained in the Tejobindoopanishad, and that is how this Upanishad becomes an extremely wonderful Upanishad. And just by reading through the mantras, listening to the mantras, the sound of the mantras, the sound of the Upanishad itself is excellent and soothing, elevates one's consciousness. And Tejobindoopanishad doesn't handle, practically doesn't explain any of the normally known yoga practices, but it's all in our normal terminology. It is the pure jnana and the jnana yoga. Even the asana, pranayama, even the mula bandha, yamaniyama, and dharana, dhyana, which are commonly understood, Tejobindoopanishad elevates it and gives totally a new dimension, new definition, new direction, new orientation to the entire practices. That is how Tejobindoopanishad is one of the most important and core of the Yogopanishads. And let us learn more and practice deeper and attain the higher dimensions in our yoga practices. Let us conclude here. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.